This door is Drumnadubber, hosted by a Willie Stewart, and the instructions are to drive up the road a bit further and park in this forestry entrance, which is what I've done here. Plenty of space should there be a few cars here, and it's not much of a walk down this road, and it's actually not too far away, and it's actually on the side of the road, as we'll see in a moment. Drumnadubber, it does mean the bridge of the well. I don't know where the well is here. Maybe I'll see it by the door. If not, I'll look up the historical archive map and see if I can locate where the well is. I'll meet you again when I get down to the door. Well, I walked right past the door because I was taken by these rags that have been put on this little rag tree, little hawthorn tree here. Maybe it's people who came to the door, because they look fairly fresh. I don't know where the well is. I'm going to look at the other side of the hedge, and then probably, I suspect, on the storytelling on the door, if I haven't found the well, it will tell me where it is. Behind the hedge is this lovely oak tree here, large leaves. It's certainly not a local oak, and there were wind chimes on this oak tree, but there's no wind to chime them. I'm giving it a bit of help. Below the hawthorn tree here, there's a sort of a gap, a big hole. There is a running stream here. I don't dare go any further forward. It is overgrown, but I suspect that is a well, and I suspect I will be told more when I make the phone call. Although to me that looks more wellish down there. That's a big pool there, and that seems to be the start of the running stream as well. So here's the door. It's on the side of the road. And I like the promotional photo of this with the dog that was in front of it. So I'm going to look for the phone number, and I'll check in with you when I've listened to it. Well, that was some lovely tales from Willie Stewart there. Different to the other set of tales I've heard elsewhere. He talks about the population first. The population here is 4 humans, 7 dogs, and a few cats. Interestingly, Willie doesn't do the regular farming here. He's let most of the farm go natural as it is because he has a huge interest in preserving biodiversity. It looks like they have been planting some trees, but they're allowing nature to bring its own seeds and let its own forest grow. And he says there's quite a range of wild trees that are in here, starting with the birch and certainly going on to things like alder, willow. I even says some oak has landed here, so it shows there's some fertility and drainage in the land. He is growing, he's got apple trees, he's got orchards, they grow a garden, and they're expanding the garden. They've got outhouses. He talked about the outhouses, and the outhouses, they're kind of doing a conversion job. I don't think they're very clear on what they're actually going to do with them. Well, they are clear. I'll talk about that in a minute. Of interest to me because of the Carracrory reflections, that the outbuildings have been mortared entirely with lime and hemp. I can recommend that is well worthwhile doing that. The long-term intent, they're hoping this will become very soon a artist and writers retreat, and that's the idea with the woodlands, woodlands for the inspiration. They do have a little well here. I suppose there's going to be some work on that. And the outbuildings, they'll have the outbuildings. So I look forward to hearing the progress on that, and I'll definitely be passing on the news of that through Nature Folklore and Nature Echoes when there's development with that. I'll contact Willie Stewart and see if I can get some updates on that. He then kind of expanded out a bit. Apparently around their house when they moved here, they're quite recent compared with everybody else we talked to who's got multi-generations, hundreds of years. They moved here in 2006, and it was surrounded by the tree plantation Sitka spruce. And the Sitka spruce did actually get harvested, and he describes the horrific experience of that, of the harvesting, but also then the delight that they didn't come back. I don't think they came back, planted new trees. What happened was the same as what happened on his land, is that nature brought its own forest along. So there's a native woodland growing, and he says it's wonderful because the birds have come back, the wildlife has come back. A lot of people think these Sitka spruce plantations it's more trees and it's great for the biodiversity. That's far from the truth. You really need nature to do it for themselves, not humans do trees in a line. And I think people say that because in northwest USA, where the Sitka spruce come from, there's a beautiful environment where they grow, but it's not how it's done here. So it's wonderful to have this. Though I think at the end, you'll have to come here and hear it. I didn't hear it properly, but he thinks that the replantation is either going to happen or it's just happened, and he would hate to see the nature woodland go because of all this biodiversity and wildlife that's moved in. They would love to keep it here, and they're also enjoying the views. While once the plantation was cleared, they got the views of Sheemore and Sleevarin, the Iron Mountains, so they were pleased with that. Willie then talked about his neighbours, the neighbouring farm, and it's interesting, and apparently there's a pool there. It's a bit like the Shannon Pot. It just seems to go down forever. So that's where the fairies live, and children not go there because they won't be able to come back up. And there's also, beside the pool, a walk that's called the Stray Path. And the story is, don't go down the Stray Path because you get lost, you won't come out. And there are stories of people who've gone down and they haven't got out. But they say if you do want to go for a walk down the Stray Path, make sure you've got a jacket on. Because once you've gone down the Stray Path, you suddenly feel that you're lost. Take your jacket off, turn it inside out, and suddenly you'll sense your way out. And apparently when you turn your jacket inside out, folklore here is the fairies will stop messing around with you. Another thing Willie mentioned is that they don't have any cattle. As I say, they don't do any farming, anything like that. But there's horses and donkeys, and I don't see them. Whilst I was actually listening to the stories, I heard the donkeys braying, so they're around here somewhere. As I go back up to the car, I'll look over the hedges. The hedges are lovely and tall here, but I can't think of anything else that he said. He said a lot more, but I'm really telling you what I remembered, and I trust that's enough for you to come here, make the phone call at the door whilst it's still up. It's easy on the side of the road, easy to park. You'll catch the bits that I've forgotten. I think I'll leave it at that. So see you at the next Amach to the Field doors. Bye. There's a gap in the hedge here, so I think this is the field that Willie was on about, that was felled, and then nature has brought trees along, so it's turned into quite a wildlife reserve with different species of wild trees, and certainly plenty of birch because they're the pioneering tree. They come in first because the seeds travel for miles in the wind, and then where they land they sprout and become little trees, and once they become little trees, nature brings all the other trees and the wildlife. So it's the birch that starts everything off. It's not very easy to get on the video, but I think that's a kind of a little sampling of a field going back to nature. There's still blackberries here, and I thought, oh, not for long, but there's a bit of a deep ditch. I almost became a calamity here. So these blackberries are protected by a deep ditch because I can't reach out for them. And I didn't bring my stick. If I brought my stick, I would have probably reached out. And lo and behold, next to the blackberries, we still have hawthorn berries. Lots of them. Again, the ditch is in the way, so anybody who just casually comes up here, not easy to harvest unless you put the boots on or have a stick. Perhaps an even better view of the wildlife sanctuary that's come into being once the Sitka spruce had been harvested. But you can just see Sheemore in between the trees there. You can't see much of it, you can't see the cross on the hill. In the distance over there, game behind trees, that's a Sleevarin. That's the Iron Mountain. When Willie was saying about his outbuildings that he's making into an art retreat that he's pointed up with lime and hemp, I believe that must be them over there. So I'm going to leave now, and I'll see you with more doors into the field tomorrow. Hopefully 2 of them, maybe 3. We'll see how we get on.